I think the other thing writers always forget is they're like, it's a manager's job to read queries and consider potential clients. I'm like, no, it's a manager's job to get work for their current clients.
Yeah.
And any queries that they read or potential clients that they meet with, you have to do sort of on the side,
Right.
because your main job is to service the writers that you already have, which takes a lot of time.
So much time. So and that's how you make your living. I mean, you have to do
exactly. So you always kind of want to keep an ear to the ground in terms of potential new clients, but you don't want to be signing too many new clients. I mean, most managers sign 1 or 2 new clients a year total, because you then want to do a lot of work for that person. Yeah. So it's weird to say, but it's a good thing when you don't get signed by a manager, because that means they wouldn't have had the time or enthusiasm for you.
Right.
And it frees you up. And then if you do sign with someone, great. Now they're like ready to roll up their sleeves and actually do a ton of work. Yeah. But so it's a lot of work. So there was always so much incoming material that I never actively went out and looked for writers on social media or on websites.
Right. That is one thing that we've focused on, and we're going to get to questions here next, because we only have you for about an hour. But what the ISA is tried to do differently than everybody else is that we have a staff that's technically acting as the people that are searching through our database, so that we can then find the ones that we think the people that we're in touch with around town would like. So in a way, we're acting like a manager.
We are querying that. And there's some competitions that do that too. I mean, I don't think competitions are a waste of time by any means, but I think writers put too much stock in them. But there are some competitions that will actively promote their winners to agents and managers, and at the very least will like read the log lines. But there's others that will just post it on their website, and we're not going to websites.
Yeah, right.
Actually, sometimes I will, because I want to see if I know any of the winners.
So that like an email comes through, it's like, oh, who are these people?
Yeah, really fast. But I'm not combing through log lines.
Right. But now you're focused on the Screenwriters brunch. Just to plug Substack, which I have no connection with in terms of me just being on Substack. It's a really great social media platform. It's a fantastic way to learn. So many different people and talented authors and journalists and everything are on there. And you should sign up for Substack. It has a really cool, easy to use app. I get Audrey's emails all the time. Nice. And her emails are so helpful, and it's really pretty impressive to think that you have the time to write all that stuff. I've been trying to just release a lot more videos lately, because there's already so much to read on Substack. Maybe people just want to look at me. But anyway, you should try Substack. Okay, so there you go, audreyknox.substack.com.
Beautiful.
We have a ton of questions here. We already have 29 starred, and there are already some that I see coming through here. And everybody, your questions are great. I apologize, because I know we're not going to be able to get through all of them. So I'm going to kind of just randomly, which I'm sure is going to screw Scott up, because he has to pull up the question. I'm going to just randomly go to, this is interesting. So Scott, Phil Maricini, 7:15 p.m., just so you know the time there. Opinion of Hollywood Pitch Fest LA, or just pitch fests in general. What do you think?
I did one pitch fest as the listener when I was an assistant. And the most valuable thing was I got to meet other assistants that I became friends with. Yeah. But that's not really beneficial to any of the writers who were there. So it's assistants that are listening to these pitches. And we don't have a lot of faith in the skill level of the writers pitching. So there are some, I remember there being some projects. I can't remember any of the projects off the top of my head. It was like 8 years ago. But I remember there being some projects where I was like, oh, that actually sounds kind of interesting. But then if you request the pitch, it's usually not actually that good, because it's such a thing marketed to beginners that you don't expect the quality to be great.
Right.
And they're also all the writers pitching at Pitch Fest are very nervous, and I always felt very bad for them.
Oh, it's just painful.
They're so nervous. So I actually think there is a benefit to Pitch Fest, even if that benefit is just like practicing your pitch.
Absolutely. That's what I always say. Yeah.
I got to get it down to 6 minutes. And if you're terrified of pitching, great, trial by fire. Go into this session in which you have to pitch to 20 people. And maybe by the end of it, you'll be less scared. And that exposure therapy, if you just keep doing it
Totally.
throughout your career, you'll get better.
And
But
you can meet other writers, and it's a nice way to
writers, it's a good
network.
networking opportunity. Yeah, I think you can learn a lot from them. But I wouldn't go into it expecting it to lead to your big break.
Right. Which should relieve some of your nerves. Like, this is
True.
not make or break. This
True.
Should just be fun. It's kind of, I have somewhat of the same response to the, pay to pitch to, executives and things through the various, it's practice. Every now and then I have, some of my writers that I work with one-on-one have done that, and they have established good relationships with the people that they pitch to, but it's pretty much the same thing. It's just more focused.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Jennifer is up late in London, so I want to get to Jennifer's question here. Jennifer Nicole, hi from London. How do you outline in advance when you don't know how the story is going to end, and you kind of create plot twists as you go? So this is a craft question. I love it.
Oh, I think you have to know how the story is going to end. You can absolutely write a version of your story that's exploratory and you're trying to find the ending. That would probably just be like a prose version of your script or a loose outline or even just an exploratory draft. I wouldn't even count it as a first draft.
Right.
But when it comes to movies, the ending is the whole point of why we are here on this journey. And it's what you're trying to say. And you might not know exactly how it's going to play out or how all of these threads are going to end up in this one place. But you do need to know, like, what is the fate of the protagonist? Is it positive or negative? What is this big moment? What are we building towards? And I think if you don't know that, then the plot twists along the way aren't going to feel like they meant anything. Mm-hmm. So I would say probably you actually have to figure out your ending.
Yeah, I think you have to at least have this is a little bit of my wheelhouse, Jennifer's, and I'm not going to take over just because we want to get to a whole bunch of questions, but try to come from a place of flaw at the very basis, like just what is my character's flaw? 2 or 3, 4 different words that express the problem, so-called. Doesn't have to be negative or evil or anything, but what do they have to overcome? Then just as an experiment, look at the opposite of that flaw and consider what could be a moment at the end of the movie that they could experience that will allow that opposite to show. That's just for exaggeration experiences, examples, because not every movie is going to have an arc like that.
Well, so that, or the other thing I always like to think about is, what is the premise of your movie? Why did you want to write this? Like, what are you trying to say?
Yeah.
And the ending should say that.
Right.
Somehow.
Right. Through the character confronting and overcoming an opponent, like in a basic formulaic way. Then you can start seeing, before snapshot, after snapshot, what happens a little bit in between. You can use the formula at first, and then you can start changing things around. But study movies. How are they presenting a character at the beginning compared to how that character is then presented at the end? I just watched The Wild Robot 2 nights ago. I absolutely loved this movie. Everyone, I highly suggest you watch it. It's on Peacock for free, I think. So fantastic, so well written. Lupita Nyong'o's voice is just amazing. But what an amazing transformation that this character, which is a robot, like literally non-human, and what she goes through. It's such a great little lesson in how you can start to see that an end of a movie is really all based on what the character is experiencing personally.
Yeah. And I watched Flow last week, and I got that without any dialogue.
I love Flow. I'm glad it won Best Animated, but Wild Robot is really,